Hello and welcome back to the Misawa Institute. Today, I'm going to be giving you some tips on how to play the best Yu-Gi-Oh deck of all time, the Dragonmaids. And these tips, they came from the Parlor Dragonmaid herself, so you know they're authentic. Let's do this! Our first tip is for those grind games, where things are dragging on and both players are slowly losing their resources turn by turn, but you will not run out of gas because you have this guy to help you. The Ladies Dragonmaid, as we all know, can be made, pun intended, with two Dragonmaids, one in the field, one in the graveyard, with the same attributes but different levels. Of course, this was designed so you could make her with your main deck maids, with the human form and the dragon form, but let's not forget that all of your extra deck monsters are light attributes and have different levels from each other. So in a desperate situation, you can make a Ladies Dragonmaid by just combining any two of these. And this is fantastic in so many ways because, like, once they're banished, you can just make a new boss monster with them in the standby phase using Ladies Dragonmaid's fusion effect. And this can also help you get back your resources because, as we all know, with the wording on Yugioh, you will need a House Dragonmaid in your extra deck in order to activate her Omni Negate. So if all your houses are in the graveyard, you could just, make a lady this way, and then, make a lady this way, and then fuse these off for another Dragonmaid Yugioh, and you will have more ammo in the tank. Lovely stuff. And let's not forget that while Ladies Dragonmaid's special summon from deck effect is only once per turn, there's no limit to how much you can actually summon Ladies Dragonmaid herself. So go crazy with this. We talked about Dragonmaid Yugioh needing a House Dragonmaid in the extra deck to trigger her effect. Let's talk about the wording of this card, and also Dragonmaid Changeover, another card that's worded very similarly, because it can be a bit confusing if you look at it for the first time. So in both cases, the text is like, do your positive action, whether it's the Omni Negate or the add back from graveyard to hand, and then, if possible, you tag out your maid. So, like, of course, Yugioh will transform into House, and then the maid on the field you've targeted will also return to your hand. And because of this wording, even if the maid who's tagging out gets disrupted, like maybe destroyed or bounced back prematurely or whatever, nothing short of actively negating the card's effect is going to stop it from resolving. Like, Yugioh will negate no matter what, this will return to your hand no matter what. But at the same time, in order to do this effect, you will need to be able to do the full path, i.e., you will need a house in your extra deck to, like, declare you're doing the Omni Negate, and you will need a maid on the field to target if you declare that you're adding this back to your hand. I hope I cleared some stuff up for you. Please write in the comments if I explained it badly. But yeah, on to the next tip. Ladies Dragonmaid can be used to very easily cheat out the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord. And all you need for that is to run any one of the main deck Light and Darkness Dragons. I run 2 Light End and 2 Dark End personally. So how does this work? Well, first of all, you'll actually need your Ladies Dragonmaid on the field. Like I said, she is super easy to get out. You just need like 1 maid on the field, 1 maid on the graveyard. This isn't exactly a monumental late game play. So like, you have your ladies, and then of course, on summon, if you haven't done it already, she'll get you a maid of your choice. Let's say we wanted to get this here Kitchen Dragonmaid. And that is when you will declare the effect of your light or dark dragon in your hand. Because these bad boys will special summon themselves by banishing a level 8 dragon monster from your extra deck. And we're going to want to do a dark level 8 dragon monster. Me personally, I do run Philia Regis, since you can just automatically get her out with a Ladies Dragonmaid and she is very good. But also the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon as a Super Poly target, because I'm a scumbag who likes Super Poly. But yeah, upon banishing your monster, let's say the banished pile is here, you will then summon your dragon And also, declaring this effect does mean you are dragon locked. So if you do this, bear in mind, no super pulleys, no kaijus. You can only special summon dragon type monsters for the rest of the turn. And now, as a little bonus, both the Light End and the Dark End Dragon have an effect where they can fusion summon. So, I declare the effect. Fuse your guy with your maid. Put him in the graveyard. To get yourself a Dragonmaid Yugioh as a bit of extra insurance. Because the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord is only once per chain. And if they try and bait him out by doing 2 negates per chain, you can do 2 negates per chain too. So what next? Well, as we all know, Lady's Dragonmaid fusion summons every standby phase by shuffling stuff from field and banished. We have a level 8 Light Dragon on the field. We have a level 8 Dark Dragon banished. When the next standby phase comes by, shuffle these back, and boom! Light and Darkness Dragon Lord, baby! That's 4 negates. 4 whole negates. And some Dragonmaids. Very epic. Alright, we've done 2 Ladies Dragonmaid tips. Let's do a tip about a different card. Dragonmaid Tidying. The signature trap card of this deck. Everybody knows it as the compulsory evacuation device for dragon types. And yes, you can indeed bounce back monsters with this. Bounce back their extra deck boss monsters, bounce back their towers, bounce back their normal summon as long as it's got no triggers or quicks. But it can do so much more that gets overlooked. So first of all, it can bounce any card from your opponent's field or graveyard back to their hand. You can mess with their graveyard plays, and if they're one of those floodgate guys, bounce their floodgate back to their hand and do your full combo, and then the floodgate will no longer matter because this is Dragonmaids. Our whole thing is getting out an Omni Negate. And then, of course, Tidying has a secondary effect when it's in the graveyard, where you can banish it to special a maid from your hand or graveyard. And since it's a trap card, this is live from the very moment it hits the grave, and it is just done any phase you want. As long as you haven't done the bounce effect, because it is only once per turn. And this has a phenomenal play when paired with the Lady's Dragonmaid. Yeah, it was a half lie. This is another Lady's Dragonmaid tip. So let's say your opponent, screws you over. She gets the graveyard on this playmat, so it's a bit more authentic. You have your Lady's Dragonmaid destroyed. She's in the graveyard, but so is your Dragonmaid Tidying. Wait until the next standby phase. And when the standby phase hits, then you trigger your Tidying, banish it, to special back your Lady's Dragonmaid. Upon summon, her effect will trigger, and you'll get your main deck made. Since I assume you're in a pinch here, go for Chamber to get you a Dragonmaid Hospitality so you have some more gas on your turn. Or just go for a Parlor, my goat, in order to get some more important dragons in your graveyard, or even another Tidying for next use. But whatever, you get out the maid you want, and then this is still the standby phase. You can still use Lady's Dragonmaid's effect to fuse. And what do you know? You have the exact materials needed for a Dragonmaid Yugioh. And since it's still the standby phase, Yugioh's effect now triggers. If you have some important dragons in your graveyard or hand, you can get them out. Or you can just get out even more human form maids to trigger their effects in the standby phase again. Yeah, with this deck, your standby phase is longer than your main phase. It annoys your opponents, and I love it. My next tip is 3 Seremba. Yup, you heard me. Not 1, 3. Of course, if you're playing a small Dragonmaid engine in a different deck, you're going to be running 0. But if you're a chat who plays pure Dragonmaid like me, you will need 3 of this gal. Let me explain why. So, as we all know, all the big dragon forms in the main deck have a discard effect, which is primarily used to set up Lady's Dragonmaid, but these discard effects can be pretty powerful. And in Cerebra's case, her discard is to special summon a maid from your graveyard or banished pile. The recovery potential is insane, and you can essentially resurrect your lost board in no time. Like, this card is actually nuts, and it does make your plays so much more consistent and give you a lot more gas in the tank. Of course, when you're side decking and you need to put some stuff in, the extra Cerebras are usually the first ones to get swapped out, but if there's no hyper-specific like hand trap or board breaker that you need to be running against this one deck, having more revival powers is much appreciated. And let's not forget, unlike the other main deck Dragon forms which protect themselves from card effects, this one protects your fusions from card effects. It makes your deck board breaker proof to the max, and it means that your Yugioh can save her negate for something that really matters. So yeah, this is definitely the underrated dark horse, quite literally dark, of the Dragonmaid deck. Okay, this next one isn't a Dragonmaid tip per se, but it's important to mention that if you're playing pure Dragonmaids, I think you should be main decking your Drawn Lockbirds. Yep, I know it's only against specific matchups like Mitsurugi's when it gets important, but at the same time, Dragonmaids don't really search that much. Yep, I know you might be inclined to say, but Misawa, what about Kitchen and Chamber? Well, what about the cards that just special summon your maids outright? What about the starter that just sends from the deck outright? What about all the combo extenders and end board makers that just directly summon? I've been drawled so many times, it's done nothing. But do you know what hand trap does mess the deck up? Mulchami Fuelos, and Drawl can shut out Fuelos. So with 3 of these and 3 Ash Blossoms, that is 6 ways to say no to your opponent's Fua. And while that little bird is crying in the graveyard, you will be just direct summoning from deck like a madman or madwoman, we don't discriminate here, and getting out your Omni Negates unbothered, unfazed, and getting the victory. Okay, I touched upon this a bit earlier, but Yugioh isn't the only choice you have if you want to immediately fuse using nothing but the materials that Lady's Dragonmaid sent to the banish pile. You also have the choice of doing a Philia Regis at the cost of tagging out your ladies and also the dragon form of whatever got banished. Obviously, like most of the time, you will be going for Yugioh because, you know, you don't lose your ladies and it's an Omni Negate plus a revival. But do not sleep on Philia Regis, because this gal is nuts. Every single turn, every single main phase, once per turn, you can banish a card from your opponent's field or graveyard, which against some decks is just demonically fatal. Every time a Draco Tail player be like setting their Rahus and Ketus, no they aren't, those are in the banish pile. Every time one of those graveyard decks tries doing their silly graveyard shenanigans, no they don't, it's banished. Of course, with Philia Regis's like field banish effect, you will have to return a dragon you control to the hand as cost, but that is like a non-issue in the deck where every standby phase, you get a bajillion like little dragons on the field. You're banished. You're banished. You're banished. I mean, not much else to say. Don't sleep on the Queen of Dragons. Next up, we gotta talk about House Dragonmaid, because she's honestly pretty slept on. Because she's like the thing that gets summoned once Yugioh tags out, people just don't really bother to read her effects and see her as like the cost, but that is furthest from the truth. Yes, she's not as good as Yugioh. Yes, you probably want her back in the extra deck as soon as possible, wink wink. But she is still a menace and you cannot be forgetting her effects if you want to win. She does have a limited version of Yugioh's effect, where if you have another Dragonmaid on the field, you can target that Dragonmaid and then special summon a maid from your hand or graveyard that's 1 higher or 1 lower in terms of level. It has to be in defense position, which is a bit of a bummer for your like beat sticks. But anyways, if I had this parlor, I could get out my chamber. And if I had this lady's level 8, by the way, I could get out my Seremba and once again protect my fusions from board breakers. It does come in handy, and most of the time, this will help you get so much more mileage out of your starters, because of course, every time it gets summoned, the effects trigger. So, get your tidying in the graveyard, get your changeover in the graveyard, get whatever you want in the graveyard and go ham. And also, House Dragonmaid's destruction effect. When a dragon you control returns to the hand, she can target and destroy a monster your opponent controls. And the good news is, dragons return to your hand like crazy in this deck. Let's not forget the main gimmick of these cards. At the start of the battle phase, if you have the right level of dragon in your graveyard, your little maid can return to your hand and become the big maid. That's a return to the hand. That will trigger House Dragonmaid. Dragonmaid tidying. When it's banished and you summon a monster, let's say we summon this Parlor. If this monster's still in the field of the end phase, she returns to the hand, trigger. We've already been over Dragonmaid changeover, so unless this maid gets tampered with, let's say I target my Lorpa, boom, another destroyed monster. Even out of archetype generic dragon supports can be good. I mean, like I said, Philia Regis can return to the hand if you banish something on the field, another trigger. And if you're super desperate, you can use your hieratic seals to return a dragon you control and get another destruction. So do not sleep on the head maid. And speaking of not sleeping on maids, let's talk a bit more about the intended gimmick of dragon maids, because this does come in clutch. If you can't summon from the extra deck for whatever reason, you can use this to just get out a powerful beat stick and just punch over your opponents. And this thing is not color-coded, it's level-coded. So really, you can get out a lot more than you originally think. With Parlor and Chamber, they can both get out level 8s, meaning that they can transform into either Tinkek, Lorpa, or Ladies, as long as they're in your graveyard or hand. And the crazy thing is, this will trigger Ladies summoned from deck and get you even more value. Chamber takes this up a notch, because hers is level 7 or higher. Very vague wording. That will of course allow her Dragon Form Seremba, it will allow Ladies, and it will allow the other two Dragon Forms. But more importantly, it will allow Dragonmaid Shio. They killed your boss monster, that's why she's in the graveyard, but she's back and ready to kick ass yet again. As for House Dragonmaid, unfortunately, fusions can't be summoned from the graveyard unless they've been summoned properly before, if you feel me. So, because she was summoned by Dragonmaid Shio tagging out for the Omni Negate, you won't be able to revive her, which is a bit of a shame, but oh well, this is still nuts. Now let's talk about those tower monsters. Those monsters with stupid effects that mean you can't destroy them, you can't affect them, you have to kill them in battle. I mean, obviously you can just scoop and go side deck and shove in your kaijus and whatnot, but nope, that's for lanes. Dragonmaid has inbuilt protection against these powerhouses. Enter Dragonmaid Tinkek. Like I said, all the maids, the big dragon forms, have their discard effects. And her discard effect is to give 2000 attack to your Dragonmaid. This is basically Dragonmaid Honest. And honestly, if you combine this on another dragon form or a Ladies or whatever, you will have some crazy punching power that will probably make your opponent's Towers monster cry. And also, it's not a Dragonmaid, but it can very easily be gotten out with Dragonmaid cards. Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. It's primarily a super poly target, but we do run a lot of darks in this deck. So once this one's out, it does steal the attack of a monster on the field and add it to its own. So, gain the attack of the Towers monster, punch over it, boom! And the best part is, this effect, it's like inherent to the Starving Venom, if you feel me. It doesn't target the opponent's monster, it's not counted as affecting the opponent's monster, so all of its silly like defense mechanisms won't do squat, and you can still steal its attack and just eat it. Maid power, dragon power, what more can you want? We also need to talk about the power of Link 1s. Everyone's saying they're OP, and they're right. Because for this little trick, we won't even need to use the effect of the Link 1. We just have to use the fact that it's a Link 1. As you can see, I have the Striker Dragon, because this is my best friend's favourite card. But you can also use this with the Blue Eyes White Spirit, or whatever it's called. The Blue Eyes White Dragon Link 1. It just has to be a Link 1, and luckily dragons have quite a few available to them. So what is so good about this 1000 attack tiny dude? Well, he sends stuff to graveyard to link summon, of course. So, of course, in this deck, you're summoning your dragons, summon, summon, summon. We've got these two on the field. Let's say you want to make another Lady's Dragonmaid. Very simple. Little maid to the graveyard, summon striker, banish these two, contact fuse into ladies, do the combo. And also the presence of a Link 1 does make your Chamber Dragonmaid an instant Lady's Dragonmaid, just like your other two starters, Parlor Dragonmaid and Kitchen Dragonmaid. And here's how. So of course you summon her, you will do your search. If you have a Seremba in your hand, you can get whatever spell and trap you want, but if you don't, you'll need Hospitality. First of all, let's do the Hospitality version. We're going to link this lady off into a Striker Dragon. Hospitality, target the chamber in your graveyard to summon, and send her dragon form. And bam! Lady's Dragonmaid. But let's say, we have a Tinkek, we have a Seremba in our hand. We can do something different. Normal summon her. Let's say I want a bit more of like an aggressive approach. I want a fusion summon right now. I've got the materials for it. So we get ourselves the Dragonmaid changeover. Very nice. We'll use that later, but for now, link her off into Striker. Discard Dragonmaid Seremba to revive your chamber. I mean, once again, this is a 3-0 for a reason. Lady's Dragonmaid. Oh, and Dragonmaid changeover, fuse a couple things, get out some goats, you feel me? Yeah, I love this deck so much. And now, final tip. Parlor Dragonmaid is cheering you on. You've got this. Get the victory, Duelist. I believe in you, and so does she. Okay, and one final bonus tip about the Bestials, because these cards work insanely well with Dragonmaid decks. I used to really hate them. They used to be my least favourite cards, but then I matured as a duelist and realised they're pretty cool, which honestly didn't take much. I mean, they are like dark dragon gods from another dimension that's basically hell. They're awesome. But more importantly, they are level 6 dragons. So in addition to their regular effects, you can use them as fusion material to get out your Dragonmaid Yugioh, since her requirements are like 1 maid plus 1 level 5 or higher dragon. And now let's talk about some of the funky tips with them. I mean, I'm sure you will know they special summon by banishing a light or dark monster in any graveyard, which is amazing, especially in this format. Like, the two best decks are the light attribute Yumi and the dark attribute Mitsurugi, both of which hate being banished from the graveyard. So yeah, a bit of an edge against the goats. And also, of course, Mag will search you dragons. And this does work pretty well with the whole, draw Lockbird, don't be afraid to use him thing. Because even if you get drawled, Mag can still, get a dragon from your graveyard instead of your deck. Which is honestly insanely helpful for a deck that's all about graveyard and banish pile. But yeah, as you see here, Triple Tactics is with us. And that is because of, a pretty funny thing I realised. When I was in my locals one time, my opponent had, a pretty nasty monster. It was a Wave King Caesar. I don't actually have a Wave King Caesar on me, so, what do I actually do? Okay, we'll use this Warhammer base as your opponent's annoying monster. You've baited them into doing a monster effects in your main phase. Triple Tactics talent, take control of it, and then tribute summon your Bestial. It is a level 6 after all, it does require 1 tribute, so as a last ditch effort, you can just do that. But make sure you're doing it on a turn where you don't need your normal summon. This actually comes up quite more than you'd think. Like, there are some cases when Dragonmaids are uber reliant on their normal summon. Like, you'll have to get out the ladies, otherwise, you're kind of screwed. Normal summon, send, banish, and if that gets disrupted, then oof. But this deck has a surprising amount of special summon only strategies. Like setting up your ladies with one of these hospitalities, just auto getting Shio with one of your light or dark dragons. So yeah, if you have the moving space to do that, go for it. It's funny as hell, and it looks cool, and it's effective. And then one final bit of Bestial tech. Druisworm. Summon him, and then use him as fusion material. Activate Dragonmaid changeover, and then fuse him plus a tiny maid for your Shio. This counts as sending him from field to graveyard, so his effect to send an opponent's monster to the graveyard with him will trigger, and it's super funny. You clear one of their bosses, get out your beat stick. That is basically victory in the bag right there. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to play Dragonmaids. Make sure to tell everyone you know it's the best deck. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!